to sleepy story facts, and to this gentle nighttime story designed to help you drift into a deep sleep, as tonight is an invitation to slow everything down, to let the noise of the day fall away, and to soften into a quieter, kinder rhythm wherever you are listening from. This is your space to settle in, to breathe more slowly, and to let your thoughts move like soft winter clouds across a calm evening sky, knowing there is nothing left for you to do today, and nowhere else you need to be as you rest. This sleep story will guide you away from the fast-paced rushing of the modern world and transport you to a place governed by the slow, majestic dilation of time, where the only movement is the gradual, unhurried creeping of ancient ice. Before we begin our journey into the quiet blue depths, take a moment to make yourself as comfortable as you can, letting your body sink deeply into the mattress, feeling the steady support beneath you, and allowing the muscles in your shoulders, your neck, and your jaw to completely soften into the bed. You might close your eyes if that feels good, following a gentle breath in through your nose, filling your lungs with cool, calming air, and then releasing a long, quiet breath out, letting go of any lingering tension from the waking hours. If peaceful, calming narration and the soft wonders of the natural world help you unwind, you are in the right place, because tonight we are exploring the silent, sleeping giants of our planet, glaciers. In this relaxing story, we will witness the serene beauty of these massive rivers of ice, which hold ancient secrets locked away in their frozen depths, preserving the history of our world in perfect, chilled stillness. As you listen, you do not need to hold on to every fact or detail, but simply let the words wash over you, allowing the heavy, peaceful weight of the ice to anchor your mind as you prepare to fall asleep. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast, velvet darkness, not of empty space, but of a quiet, pristine valley at the top of the world, illuminated only by the soft, silvery glow of moonlight, reflecting off a seemingly endless sea of white. Here, time does not pass in minutes or hours, but in centuries and millennia, mirroring the restful slumber your body is gently sinking into right now. Glaciers begin their long lives with something incredibly small and delicate, a single snowflake drifting silently from a quiet sky. Each snowflake is a masterpiece of atmospheric geometry, a fragile lattice of frozen water molecules that lands softly on the high mountain peaks, joining billions of others in a profound, hushed silence. Year after year, century after century, the snow accumulates, never melting, but simply layering upon itself in a gentle, unending embrace of winter. As the layers grow deeper, the delicate points of the snowflakes begin to soften and compress under their own accumulated weight, slowly transforming from light, fluffy snow into granular ice known as firn. This firn is like the transition between wakefulness and slumber, a middle state where the air is gradually squeezed out, and the crystals bind closer and closer together as the external world fades away. With the passing of even more time, the immense, quiet pressure above forces the firn to crystallize into solid, dense glacial ice, a process that can take hundreds or even thousands of years. teaching us the ultimate lesson in patience and serenity. In this deep, compressed state, the ice absorbs the longer, warmer wavelengths of light, like red and yellow, and reflects only the short, cool wavelengths, giving the heart of a glacier its mesmerizing, soothing, ethereal blue color that seems to glow from within. This slow transformation mirrors your own descent into rest, where the scattered, busy thoughts of the day are gently compressed and smoothed out, leaving only a calm, vast stillness in your mind. Despite their massive size and solid appearance, these rivers of ice are not truly still. They are constantly, imperceptibly flowing downhill, driven by the quiet, inescapable pull of gravity. They move with a profound slowness, sometimes only an inch a day, shaping the mountains and carving deep, sweeping valleys over millions of years, proving that the softest, most patient forces can alter the very face of the earth. In the presence of a glacier, human time vanishes, replaced by a geologic rhythm that invites you to release all urgency and simply exist in the present moment, wrapped in a gentle bedtime narrative that carries you softly toward the dawn. As the cold, pure air fills your lungs and the tranquil, vast expanse of the ice field fills your imagination, allow yourself to be carried along on this slow-moving river of frost, drifting deeper and deeper into tranquility, perfectly safe, perfectly calm, and entirely at peace in the endless, silent winter, knowing that just as the snow surrenders to the vastness of the glacier, you too can surrender your mind to the comforting weight of this bedtime story, leaving behind the waking world to drift gently through the unhurried eons of glacial time, where nothing is ever rushed and everything rests in perfect harmony. As you sink deeper into this gentle bedtime narrative, we slowly leave the starlit surface of the snowfield behind and begin to drift down into the very heart of the glacier, where the true magic of deep time is silently preserved beneath the crunchy layers of firn, where the scattered snowflakes of centuries past have finally surrendered their individual shapes. The sheer, unimaginable weight of the ice above transforms the frozen water into something almost entirely new, shifting its nature from a brittle solid into a slow-moving, flexible substance that flows with the grace of thick honey. This profound pressure, quietly building over thousands of years, creates an environment of total peace and insulation, wrapping you in a heavy, comforting blanket of stillness that is perfect for guiding you into a deep sleep. Down here, in the secluded depths of the ice, the world is painted in the most breathtaking, soothing shades of blue, a color born not from pigment, but from the quiet physics of light passing through the densely packed ice crystals, because glacial ice lacks the tiny air pockets found in ordinary frozen water. It absorbs the red, orange, and yellow wavelengths of sunlight that manage to filter down from the surface, leaving only the tranquil, deeply calming blue wavelengths to scatter and reach our eyes, creating an ethereal, glowing sapphire cathedral that stretches out in all directions. This soft, oceanic blue is the visual equivalent of a gentle sigh, a color that naturally slows your heart rate and invites your mind to rest, mirroring the slow, steady rhythm of this relaxing story. As we drift through these silent blue halls, we encounter one of the most astonishing secrets the glacier holds. Millions of tiny, perfectly preserved bubbles suspended within the crystalline structure. These bubbles are not empty space, but rather microscopic time capsules, capturing pristine pockets of the Earth's atmosphere exactly as it was breathed by ancient forests and long-vanished creatures thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of years ago, when snowflakes first fell upon the mountain long before the dawn of modern history. They trapped minuscule amounts of air between their delicate branches. And as the snow was compressed into ice, that air was sealed away in perfect, airtight vaults, untouched by the passage of time. For scientists who study these ancient archives, extracting an ice core from the depths of a glacier is like reading the pages of a vast, frozen library, where each microscopic bubble whispers a calming narration of the Earth's distant past, telling stories of ancient weather patterns, forgotten volcanic eruptions, and the slow, natural breathing of our planet. Just knowing that such a perfect, undisturbed record exists deep within the ice can bring a profound sense of comfort, reminding us that no matter how fast or chaotic the waking world may seem, there is a place where history is kept safe, still, and completely at peace. The ice at this depth does not crack or shatter as it moves. Instead, the overwhelming pressure allows it to behave with a slow, creeping plasticity, flowing over the bedrock like a river in ultra-slow motion, quietly polishing the stones beneath it and carrying the memory of the mountain forward, inch by microscopic inch. This internal deformation is entirely silent, a frictionless glide that happens so slowly it is completely invisible to the naked eye, a testament to the immense power of patience and steady, unhurried progression. As you listen to this nighttime story, you can imagine your own tensions and worries being gently absorbed by this slow-moving current, carried away by the glacier, and ground down into nothingness, leaving your mind as clear and unburdened as the ancient ice. You are completely safe here in the cool, glowing depths, surrounded by the quiet hum of the Earth's history, insulated from the winds and the weather of the surface, enveloped in a timeless sanctuary that asks nothing of you but to rest. Let the majestic slowness of the glacier guide your breathing, inhaling the crisp, imaginary air of a world that existed long before our own, and exhaling all the stress of your day, sinking further and further into the heavy, soft comfort of your bed. The ancient ice is a masterclass in letting go, a physical manifestation of perfect stillness that perfectly complements a sleepy story designed to ease your transition from wakefulness to slumber. As the beautiful, deep blue light fades into a softer, darker indigo, allow yourself to be carried deeper still, knowing that the glacier holds its secrets with the utmost gentleness, just as the night holds you, providing a secure, quiet space where you can finally surrender to the soothing embrace of sleep. In this boundless frozen sanctuary, every inch of ice you pass represents an entire era of natural history, capturing the delicate atmospheric whispers of a planet that has been slowly spinning through the velvet darkness of space for billions of years to fall asleep while imagining this grand geologic clockwork is to harmonize your own body's natural rhythms with the slow, steady heartbeat of the earth itself, finding profound solace in the fact that you are a part of this ancient, beautiful system. The glacier does not rush to reach the valley, and the trapped air bubbles do not hurry to reach the surface. They exist in a state of suspended grace, a perfect equilibrium that you can invite into your own body as you prepare for the night. Allow the quiet resonance of this sleep story to wash over your senses, visualizing the solid, supportive mass of the glacier beneath you, a foundation so deep and unshakable that you can let go of every last ounce of control. Let the calming narration act as a soft tether, guiding your consciousness down through the layers of time, past the centuries of compressed snow, past the eras of ancient sunlight, and into the absolute, undisturbed quiet of the glacial core, where the ultimate, rejuvenating rest awaits as we sink even further down through the heavy, tranquil blue, leaving the microscopic air bubbles and the dense, plastic ice behind. We arrive at the very foundation of the glacier, a hidden, secret world where the ancient ice finally meets the solid bedrock of the earth in a space that is profoundly dark and wonderfully calm. Here, miles beneath the frozen surface, the immense, crushing weight of the ice above acts like a massive thermal blanket, trapping the faint, gentle geothermal heat radiating slowly from the Earth's core. This subtle warmth, combined with the extreme pressure, creates an environment where ice can no longer remain solid, causing the very bottom of the glacier to gently melt into a thin, unseen layer of liquid water that acts as a silent, natural lubricant. This hidden water is the secret engine of the glacier's slow journey, allowing the millions of tons of ice above to slide smoothly and frictionlessly over the rough mountain rock, moving with a steady, unhurried grace that perfectly embodies the spirit of this relaxing story. In this deep, secluded realm, where daylight has never once touched, entirely new landscapes exist in the pitch-black silence, hidden from the eyes of the waking world, but perfectly safe to explore in your imagination as you drift closer to a deep sleep beneath some of the largest ice sheets on our planet, such as those covering the vast, remote expanse of Antarctica. The meltwater does not just form a thin film, but gathers in massive depressions in the bedrock, creating enormous, hidden bodies of water known as subglacial lakes. These underground seas have been sealed off from the surface atmosphere for millions of years, locked away in an eternal, peaceful slumber beneath thousands of feet of solid ice, remaining entirely undisturbed by the changing seasons, the shifting winds, or the passing of geological eras. The water in these subglacial lakes is pristine and pure, resting in complete darkness under immense pressure, yet remaining liquid because of the delicate balance between the heavy ice above and the warm rock below. As you listen to this bedtime story, try to visualize the vast, calm surface of these hidden lakes, a mirror of dark water resting in absolute, unbroken stillness, reflecting nothing but the smooth, icy ceiling that has protected it since the dawn of time. Imagine your own mind mirroring this perfect, glassy stillness, allowing the turbulent thoughts of your day to settle at the bottom of the lake, leaving only a smooth, untroubled surface that is ready to embrace the quiet of the night. This hidden hydrological network is not completely stationary. Faint, slow-moving rivers of meltwater quietly connect some of these subglacial lakes, flowing unseen beneath the ice in a delicate, planetary circulatory system that operates with a calming narration all its own. The water moves with such profound slowness that it would take thousands of years for a single drop to travel from one lake to another. A gentle reminder that there is no need to rush, and that everything in nature moves at its own perfect, unhurried pace. In this deep, hidden sanctuary, life is incredibly rare and wonderfully simple, consisting only of microscopic, extremophile bacteria that have adapted to survive in total darkness, relying on the slow, chemical breakdown of minerals rather than the energy of the sun. These tiny, resilient organisms have existed in their silent, watery home for eons, living at a pace so slow it is almost suspended animation. A perfect biological metaphor for the deep, restorative rest your body is preparing to enter. The existence of these subglacial lakes and their microscopic inhabitants teaches us that life and liquid water can find a way to persist even in the most extreme, isolated environments, offering a deeply comforting thought that resilience and peace can be found in the quietest, most hidden corners of our world. Let the vast, heavy presence of the glacier above you act as a protective shield, blocking out all the noise, the light, and the demands of the surface, leaving you entirely secure in the dark, warm embrace of the deep earth. As you continue to breathe slowly and evenly, allow yourself to sink into the heavy, supportive sensation of the bedrock, feeling the gentle, geothermal warmth seeping into your muscles, completely relaxing your body from your toes all the way up to your head. The slow, creeping slide of the glacier overhead is a lullaby written in geology, a constant, low-frequency hum of ancient ice grinding against ancient stone that vibrates through the earth and gently rocks your consciousness to sleep. There is no weather down here, no storms, no sudden changes, only the eternal, patient slide of the ice and the still, dark water waiting calmly in the deep, providing the ultimate environment for a nighttime story designed to ease you into slumber. As you drift further down into relaxation, let the image of the hidden lake wash over you, knowing that your own inner peace can be just as deep, just as protected, and just as enduring as the ancient waters sleeping quietly beneath the ice. You are safe, you are warm, and you are entirely insulated from the rush of the world, suspended in the slow, geological time of the subglacial depths, where the only thing required of you is to simply rest and let go. As we gently drift away from the still, dark waters of the subglacial lakes, we follow the creeping edge of the glacier as it slowly pushes forward over the landscape, acting as a massive, patient sculptor that reshapes the very bones of the earth in absolute silence. A glacier is not just a river of ice. It is a colossal geological tool, an instrument of nature that carves out deep valleys and smooths over rugged mountains with a delicate, unhurried precision that takes thousands upon thousands of years to complete. As the heavy, solid ice flows over the bedrock, it plucks up loose stones, boulders, and gravel, embedding them into its frozen base and turning the bottom of the glacier into a giant, slow-moving sheet of sandpaper that grinds against the earth with a comforting, low-frequency rumble. This slow, steady erosion is a beautiful example of how nature operates on a scale of deep time. A gentle reminder that monumental changes do not have to happen quickly or violently, but can unfold with a calming narration of persistent, quiet effort. You can imagine the slow, heavy movement of the glacier acting like a deep tissue massage for the earth itself, pressing down and smoothing away the sharp, jagged edges of the landscape, leaving behind smooth, beautifully polished stone surfaces that glisten in the sun once the ice eventually retreats. As you listen to this relaxing story, allow the steady, grinding rhythm of the glacier to smooth away the sharp edges of your own day, polishing your thoughts until they are smooth, clear, and perfectly at peace, ready for you to fall asleep. When a glacier carves its way through a mountainous region, it rarely moves in a straight line. Instead, it follows the path of least resistance, slowly expanding and deepening pre-existing river valleys, transforming them from narrow, V-shaped gorges into wide, sweeping, U-shaped troughs that look like massive, open cradles carved out of solid rock. These U-shaped valleys, like the famous fjords of Norway or the deep glacial troughs of the Alps, are monuments to the glacier's patient work. Vast, open spaces that invite a sense of peace and expansive calm, mirroring the deep, spacious relaxation that is currently spreading through your own body. As the glacier moves, it acts as a colossal conveyor belt, carrying the rocks and debris it has plucked from the mountainside slowly downhill, transporting them for miles in a frozen, suspended state. When the glacier eventually reaches a lower, warmer elevation where the ice begins to slowly melt, it gently deposits these collected stones, leaving behind massive ridges of earth and rock known as moraines, which mark the furthest extent of the glacier's ancient journey, like a quiet, geological signature. Sometimes, a glacier will carry a single, enormous boulder, far larger than a house, completely encased in ice, and deposit it in a landscape where it seemingly does not belong. Sitting alone in a meadow or perched on a distant hilltop, these solitary giants, known as glacial erratics, are peaceful sentinels of deep time, silent witnesses to the slow, frozen river that carried them there from miles away, resting now in absolute stillness for thousands of years. Just as the glacier gently sets down the heavy stones it has carried for so long, you too can use this sleep story to gently set down the heavy burdens of your waking life, allowing the calming narration to take the weight off your shoulders so you can rest in perfect stillness. The landscape left behind by a retreating glacier is a masterpiece of quiet beauty, dotted with small, perfectly round lakes called tarns, which fill the deep bowls carved out by the ice, their surfaces reflecting the sky like dark, tranquil mirrors. These landscapes are the physical embodiment of a bedtime story, places of profound serenity where the ancient, violent forces of the earth have been softened and hushed by the slow, smoothing action of the ice, creating a sanctuary for quiet contemplation and deep rest. As you lie in your bed, imagine yourself resting in one of these wide, U-shaped valleys, surrounded by the smooth, polished rock and the deep, silent tarns, feeling entirely supported by the ancient, steady earth beneath you. The slow carving of the glacier is a testament to the power of patience, a reassuring reminder that even the hardest stone will eventually yield to the soft, persistent pressure of time, just as your own mind will naturally yield to the gentle, persistent rhythm of this nighttime story. There is no rush, no urgency, and no destination to reach. There is only the slow, continuous unfolding of the present moment, guided by the soothing, unhurried pace of the ancient ice. Allow the heavy, grounding energy of the glacial moraines and the silent, steadfast presence of the erratic boulders to anchor your consciousness, drawing you deeper and deeper into a state of profound, uninterrupted tranquility. You are safe in the cradle of the valley, wrapped in the comforting blanket of deep geologic time, where the only sound is the imaginary, slow grinding of the ice, a natural lullaby that carries you softly toward a deep, restorative sleep. As the final traces of wakefulness fade away, surrender completely to the majestic slowness of the glacier, knowing that the ancient ice has shaped the world with perfect care, and that this same gentle, quiet force is now perfectly shaping your transition into slumber. As we gently follow the slow, meandering path of the glacier down from the high mountain peaks and through the wide, polished valleys, we eventually reach the profound and quiet edge of the world, where the ancient river of ice meets the vast, dark expanse of the ocean. Here, at the very end of its centuries-long journey, the glacier does not simply vanish, but undergoes a majestic, incredibly slow transformation, offering a beautiful lesson in transitions and the art of gently letting go as you drift closer to a deep sleep. Where the glacier meets the sea, the massive sheet of ice extends out over the cold water, floating silently in the deep, buoyed by the salt and the tide, forming a colossal, glowing blue shelf that hangs suspended between the earth and the ocean. Because the water beneath is slightly warmer than the air above, and because of the constant, gentle lifting and falling of the tides, the leading edge of the ice shelf slowly begins to fracture, a process that takes years of quiet, invisible stress building within the frozen structure. When the moment is finally right, a massive piece of the glacier gracefully detaches itself, slipping away from the main body of ice and sliding down into the deep, dark water with a profound, echoing slowness known as calving, giving birth to a brand new iceberg. While calving can sometimes be a dramatic event, in the peaceful context of this relaxing story, we focus on the slow, serene detachment, the quiet, heavy sigh of the ice as it finally releases its grip on the land and surrenders itself to the gentle embrace of the sea. This slow release is the perfect metaphor for the moment you finally fall asleep, when your mind lets go of the solid, structured thoughts of the day and drifts away into the vast, fluid, and unburdened realm of dreams, floating freely in the quiet ocean of your subconscious. The newly formed iceberg, a towering cathedral of ancient, compressed ice, now bobs gently in the calm, frigid waters, a silent giant beginning a new, unhurried journey, carried only by the slow-moving currents and the soft whispering of the wind. Just as you learned earlier in this sleep story, the ice that makes up this drifting giant is hundreds, if not thousands, of years old, containing the trapped air bubbles and the pristine blue crystal structure forged deep within the glacier's heart. Now fully exposed to the quiet light of the moon as the iceberg drifts, it is a masterpiece of hidden depths, because solid ice is only slightly less dense than liquid water. Nearly 90% of the iceberg's massive bulk remains hidden entirely beneath the surface, submerged in the dark, silent ocean. This immense, unseen foundation provides the iceberg with an incredible calming stability, allowing it to ride out the ocean's swells with a slow, heavy grace, completely untroubled by the ripples and waves on the surface. You can draw comfort from this hidden stability as you listen to this bedtime story, knowing that beneath your conscious thoughts lies a deep, vast reservoir of peace and stillness that anchors you safely, allowing you to float calmly through the night, no matter what minor worries ripple across the surface of your mind. As the iceberg slowly drifts away from the coast, it enters a realm of profound isolation and quiet, surrounded only by the endless, dark water and the sweeping, starry sky. A perfect, solitary sanctuary that invites you to leave the busy world behind. The cold ocean water gradually, patiently begins to sculpt the submerged ice, melting it away over months and years, smoothing the sharp edges and creating massive underwater arches, caves, and sweeping curves that are visible only to the deep sea creatures that silently glide past. Occasionally, as the underwater ice melts and the balance of the berg slowly shifts, the entire massive structure will gracefully, silently roll over in the water, bringing the deep, perfectly smooth, sapphire blue ice that was once hidden beneath the waves up into the open air. This slow, majestic rotation is a beautiful, peaceful spectacle, a gentle turning over that mirrors the way you might comfortably shift your own body in bed, finding that perfect, cozy position as you settle deeper into the heavy comfort of the mattress. The iceberg is in no rush to melt, and the ocean is in no rush to dissolve it. They exist in a slow, patient dance of elements, a quiet merging of frozen freshwater and liquid salt that takes place on a timescale perfectly suited for a calming narration. As you visualize these massive, blue ice giants drifting silently through the velvet darkness of the polar seas, allow their profound slowness to dictate the rhythm of your breathing, taking long, deep breaths in and letting long, slow breaths out. Let the cool, refreshing imagery of the floating ice soothe any remaining tension in your body, feeling a sense of immense, unburdened weightlessness as you imagine yourself drifting alongside them, completely supported by the deep, dark water. You have reached the final stage of the glacier's journey, the peaceful dissolution back into the global ocean. A beautiful return to the source that signifies the end of the day and the beginning of deep, restorative rest. Surrender to the gentle rocking of the tide, the quiet, starlit isolation of the open sea, and the soft, steady fading of the iceberg, knowing that as it slowly melts away, your own conscious thoughts are melting into the quiet, peaceful depths of a truly deep sleep as we let the massive, drifting icebergs continue their silent journey into the deep ocean. Our relaxing story gently carries us back to the vast, bright surface of the glacier, exploring a delicate, microscopic world that awakens only during the soft, lingering days of the polar summer, even in a landscape defined by freezing temperatures and immense, crushing weight. The slow, persistent warmth of the summer sun manages to leave its gentle mark, creating tiny, peaceful sanctuaries across the vast expanse of white, carried by the high, quiet winds that sweep across the continents. Microscopic particles of dust, tiny fragments of rock, and ancient soot slowly drift through the atmosphere before settling softly onto the pristine surface of the ice. This fine, dark dust is known as cryoconite, and because it is darker than the highly reflective snow around it, it quietly absorbs the gentle, warming rays of the sun, holding onto that heat like a soft, cozy blanket. As the cryoconite warms, it slowly and patiently melts the ice directly beneath it, sinking downward millimeter by millimeter to form perfectly round, water-filled cylinders known as cryoconite holes, which dot the surface of the glacier like thousands of tiny, tranquil wishing wells. These miniature pools are profound examples of nature's quiet architecture, creating sheltered, undisturbed pockets of liquid water that offer a beautiful, serene focal point for this sleep story, drawing your mind away from the vastness of the ice and into the comforting, contained space of a single, still drop inside these tiny, sun-warmed pools. A hidden, microscopic ecosystem thrives in perfect peace, home to resilient, slow-moving organisms like tardigrades and simple algae that live their entire, unhurried lives within the safety of these glassy, cylindrical walls. You can imagine your own mind resting inside one of these tranquil little pools, safe from the cold winds of the waking world, cradled by the solid, ancient ice, and warmed by the gentle, persistent light of a quiet sun. The slow melting of the cryoconite holes is accompanied by the softest, most delicate sound in the frozen landscape, the faint, musical trickling of surface meltwater. As the summer sun caresses the top layer of the glacier, microscopic droplets of water merge to form tiny, glittering threads that weave their way across the ice, joining together into small, crystal-clear ribbons that flow with a hushed, soothing murmur. This gentle whispering of water over smooth ice is nature's ultimate lullaby, a continuous, calming narration that washes away the lingering static of your day and encourages your breathing to slow down, synchronizing with the unhurried, meandering path of the meltwater streams. The water flows without any urgency, carving shallow, winding grooves into the surface that catch the sunlight and sparkle like liquid diamonds. A mesmerizing, repetitive pattern that hypnotizes the senses and helps you gently fall asleep. These little streams eventually find their way to narrow, vertical shafts in the ice called moulins, where the water spirals downward in a smooth, graceful descent, carrying the warmth of the surface deep into the cold, blue heart of the glacier in a perfectly balanced exchange of energy. As you listen to this bedtime story, you can visualize the tension in your own muscles melting away, just like the surface ice, transforming from something solid and unyielding into a soft, fluid state that simply trickles away, leaving you feeling incredibly light, wonderfully relaxed, and perfectly still. The delicate balance of the cryoconite holes and the whispering meltwater teaches us that even the most massive, seemingly immovable forces on Earth are constantly softening, constantly yielding to the gentle touch of warmth and time, proving that true strength lies in the ability to let go. There is no need for you to hold on to the solid, rigid structures of your waking life when you can allow yourself to simply melt into the comfort of your bed, enveloped by the safety of the night and the steady, protective weight of the blankets. As the polar summer slowly fades and the long, purple shadows of autumn begin to stretch across the ice, the tiny pools will eventually freeze over once again, sealing their quiet worlds in a state of suspended animation, perfectly preserved for another year. This natural, effortless transition from liquid warmth back to solid, peaceful rest is the exact journey your mind is taking right now, moving seamlessly from the activity of the day into the profound, undisturbed quiet of a deep sleep. Allow the gentle bedtime imagery of the sparkling streams and the tranquil, dust-warmed pools to fill your mind, replacing any complicated thoughts with the simple, sensory experience of slow-moving water and ancient ice. Let this nighttime story carry you softly toward the threshold of dreams, where the soothing whispers of the glacier continue to echo in the dark, reminding you that everything in nature eventually finds its way to a state of perfect, serene stillness. As we gently drift away from the whispering meltwater on the summer surface, we return to the quiet, profound depths of the glacier to explore a different kind of stillness, a scientific wonder where the ancient ice reveals itself not just as a frozen river, but as a vast, perfectly organized library of deep time. Just as a towering, old-growth tree records the slow passage of its life in concentric, wooden rings, the great ice sheets of the world lay down their history in perfectly stacked, horizontal layers of snow that accumulate year after year without ever completely melting away, because the snow falls with different consistencies depending on the season, fluffy and light during the cold, dark winters, and slightly denser during the marginally warmer summers. These alternating bands of texture become permanently pressed into the ice, creating a subtle, mesmerizing striped pattern that stretches down for miles into the dark. These layers are a physical manifestation of patience and endurance, a quiet, visual rhythm that you can trace with your mind's eye as you listen to this relaxing story, letting the steady, repetitive stacking of the years lull you closer and closer to a deep sleep. When scientists carefully extract long, slender cylinders of ice from these depths, known as ice cores. They are pulling up actual, physical pieces of the past, holding thousands of years of Earth's history in their hands in the form of cold, crystalline blue columns. Within these ancient layers, the ice holds onto incredibly subtle chemical signatures, microscopic traces of volcanic ash from long-forgotten eruptions, and the tiny, trapped air bubbles we explored earlier, all suspended in an environment of absolute, unchanging peace. By slowly reading these frozen archives, we can reconstruct the Earth's climate going back hundreds of thousands of years, tracking the gentle, rhythmic breathing of our planet through long, sweeping cycles of ice ages and gradual warmings. This deep geological perspective is incredibly comforting, a calming narration that reminds us how small and fleeting our daily worries truly are when compared to the vast, majestic epochs of planetary time recorded in the ice. You do not need to solve any problems tonight, and you do not need to rush. You can simply rest, securely anchored in the present moment, while the long history of the world sleeps quietly beneath you in the frozen dark. Imagine your own mind as an ice core, perfectly preserving the peaceful, soothing memories of your life while gently letting go of the noise and the stress, sealing the good moments away in a safe, tranquil space where they can never be disturbed. As we gently examine the delicate bands of the ice core, we notice that even the most dramatic events in the Earth's history, massive volcanic explosions that darkened the skies, or immense shifts in the global climate, are recorded here as nothing more than thin, quiet lines of dust or slight changes in the chemistry of the water. The glacier has taken the chaos of the outside world and reduced it to absolute stillness, absorbing the turbulence of history and transforming it into a beautiful, silent pattern of stripes that asks for nothing but quiet contemplation. You can use this bedtime story to do the same, allowing the heavy, steady weight of your own relaxation to press down on the events of your day, flattening them out and storing them away so they no longer disturb the smooth, calm surface of your mind. Here, deep in the frozen library, there is no sound, no movement, and no light. There is only the pristine, unbroken record of the past, held in perfect suspension until the end of time. The ice cores teach us that everything leaves a trace, but that every trace can eventually be integrated into a larger, more peaceful whole, becoming just another layer in the beautiful, complex structure of existence. Allow the majestic slowness of this geologic timekeeping to synchronize with your own breathing, taking a long, slow breath in for the winter layers and a long, gentle breath out for the summer layers, establishing a steady, hypnotic rhythm that carries you away from wakefulness. Let the cool, smooth imagery of the ice core soothe your senses, imagining the crisp, clean smell of ancient snow and the heavy, comforting blanket of silence that surrounds the deep drilling sites on the high polar plateaus. This nighttime story is your invitation to step out of the fast-paced rushing of human time and into the slow, deliberate pacing of the earth itself, a pacing that naturally encourages your heart rate to drop and your muscles to completely relax as you continue to sink into the mattress. Surrender entirely to the ancient, frozen record, knowing that you are perfectly safe, perfectly still, and fully prepared to drift off into the deep, restful slumber that you so deeply deserve. As we gently drift deeper into the profound blue heart of the glacier, moving away from the perfectly stacked historical layers of the ice cores, we discover that this frozen world is not entirely barren, but instead acts as a vast, suspended sanctuary for a hidden, microscopic realm of life that has mastered the art of extreme patience. Deep within the solid ice, far below the reach of sunlight, and entirely isolated from the shifting seasons of the surface, incredibly resilient microorganisms have found a way to exist in a state of ultimate, peaceful dormancy that perfectly mirrors the deep sleep you are quietly approaching tonight. These microscopic survivors, including specialized strains of bacteria, fungi, and ancient viruses, do not grow, multiply, or move. Instead, they enter a profound state of suspended animation known as cryptobiosis, a biological pause button that allows them to wait out the freezing temperatures for tens of thousands, or even millions, of years. In this resting state, they gently expel almost all the water from their tiny bodies, replacing it with natural, sugar-based antifreeze compounds that prevent their delicate cell walls from being ruptured by jagged ice crystals, essentially turning themselves into microscopic, durable seeds waiting in the dark. This incredible biological adaptation is a beautiful lesson in resilience and the power of simply stopping. A calming narration that reminds us that sometimes the best way to survive a harsh or exhausting environment is to completely power down, slow your internal rhythms to an absolute crawl, and simply rest until conditions improve. As you listen to this relaxing story, you can imagine your own body adopting this peaceful, dormant state, letting go of all the energetic demands of the waking world, slowing your breathing, and allowing your muscles to become heavy and still, safely insulated beneath the warm covers of your bed. The microorganisms trapped in the ice require almost zero energy to maintain their suspended state, quietly drawing on microscopic traces of iron or sulfur scraped from the bedrock to sustain a metabolism so incredibly slow that it is barely detectable, a true biological whisper in the dark. This ultimate form of deep time survival means that the ice beneath the surface of the Earth is actually a vast, sleeping ecosystem, a frozen library not just of atmospheric gases and ancient dust, but of living biology that has remained perfectly intact since the last great ice age. The thought of these tiny, ancient beings sleeping so peacefully for thousands of millennia is deeply comforting, offering a profound sense of continuity and demonstrating that life possesses an elegant, quiet strength that can endure almost any extreme simply by knowing how to properly rest. When we eventually transition out of this bedtime story and you drift off into a deep sleep, you are participating in a very similar, necessary biological pause, allowing your own cells to repair, your mind to consolidate memories, and your energy to slowly recharge in the quiet safety of the night. There is absolutely no rush down here in the glacial depths. The sleeping microbes are not anxious about the future, or troubled by the past. They simply exist in the eternal, heavy present moment, cradled by the flawless, crushing pressure of the deep blue ice. You can invite this same total surrender into your own mind, visualizing the solid, supportive mass of the glacier wrapping around your thoughts, completely insulating you from the noise, the responsibilities, and the fast-paced expectations of tomorrow. Just as the ice protects the dormant microbes from the harsh winds and the scouring storms of the surface, your bedroom protects you, creating a safe, quiet environment where you can completely let your guard down and drift away. Even if the glacier were to slowly carry these microbes all the way to the ocean over the course of 10,000 years, they would remain patiently asleep the entire journey, only waking up when they are finally released into the warmer, nutrient-rich waters of the sea, completely unharmed by their long, frozen slumber. This nighttime story is your gentle release, the slow, warming current that allows you to finally let go of your waking tension and transition smoothly into the restorative depths of sleep, knowing that you will wake up refreshed and renewed only when the time is right. For now, there is nothing for you to do but emulate the quiet patience of the ancient, microscopic survivors, sinking deeper and deeper into the mattress, your breathing slow and steady, your mind clear and untroubled, resting securely in the beautiful, frozen silence of the deep earth. As we continue to drift through the serene, frozen heart of the glacier, we slowly follow the path of the deep, hidden meltwater, leaving the suspended microbes behind and entering one of the most breathtaking, secluded sanctuaries on Earth, the vast, echoing chambers of a glacial ice cave. These magnificent, winding caverns are carved entirely by the slow, patient flow of water running through the interior of the glacier, melting away the ancient ice over decades to create a labyrinth of smooth, scalloped tunnels that glow with an otherworldly, deeply calming sapphire light, because the ice acts as a perfect, natural filter, absorbing all the warmer colors of the spectrum. The sunlight that manages to penetrate the ceiling of the cave is transformed into a soft, ambient blue radiance that illuminates the smooth, curving walls without casting any harsh shadows. This gentle, enveloping blue light is the visual equivalent of a deep, restful sigh, a soothing color that naturally signals to your brain that the day is done, encouraging your heart rate to slow and your mind to embrace the quiet transition into sleep. Inside the ice cave, the air is crisp, pure, and incredibly still, carrying only the faint, crisp scent of ancient frost and the gentle, continuous murmur of the subglacial river flowing steadily along the polished floor. This hidden river is the architect of the cave, a quiet, persistent force that moves with a soothing, unhurried grace, its liquid voice echoing softly off the scalloped ice walls in a natural, hypnotic lullaby that washes away the remaining tension of your waking hours. The sound of the water is a constant, calming narration, a repetitive white noise rhythm that fills the vast, empty space of the cavern and drowns out any lingering thoughts, leaving your mind as clear and open as the hollowed-out chambers of the glacier. As you listen to this relaxing story, You can imagine yourself resting comfortably on a smooth, dry ledge deep within the Sapphire cavern, perfectly insulated from the freezing temperatures, completely safe, and entirely hidden from the outside world. Here, the overwhelming weight of the ice above does not feel oppressive, but rather deeply protective. A heavy, solid blanket that shields you from the noise, the weather, and the rushing pace of the surface, creating a perfect environment for uninterrupted rest. The walls of the cave are smooth to the touch, polished to a glass-like finish by the relentless, gentle flow of the water, and they glisten faintly with tiny droplets of condensation that occasionally fall with a soft, delicate plink into the river below. These small, rhythmic sounds are like gentle metronomes, perfectly pacing your breathing as you inhale the cool, clean air and exhale your worries, sinking deeper and deeper into the heavy comfort of your bed. Glacial ice caves are constantly, slowly changing, their shapes morphing over the seasons as the ice creeps forward and the water carves new paths. A beautiful reminder that even the most solid, permanent-seeming things in our lives are capable of gentle, fluid transformation. You do not need to hold tightly to the rigid structures of your day. You can allow your mind to flow and adapt, just like the Subglacial river, finding the path of least resistance as you drift toward the peaceful oblivion of sleep. In the deepest, darkest parts of the cave, where the blue light finally fades away entirely, the silence becomes absolute, a profound, heavy quiet that is incredibly rare in the modern world, offering a vast, empty space where your consciousness can finally completely power down. This deep, cave-like silence is not empty, but rather full of potential, a rich, velvety darkness that invites the soft, abstract imagery of dreams to slowly take shape, replacing the sharp, focused thoughts of the waking world. As the Subglacial river continues its long, slow journey toward the ocean, you too are being carried along on a gentle, unstoppable current of relaxation, moving further and further away from the conscious control of your body and into the deep, automatic rhythms of restorative slumber. Surrender to the soft, glowing blue of the ice walls, the hypnotic whispering of the water, and the profound, ancient peace of the cavern, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, safe, secure, and ready to fall asleep. Let the cool, tranquil energy of the glacier seep into your bones, extinguishing any remaining sparks of wakeful energy and leaving you resting in perfect, undisturbed stillness as this nighttime story slowly guides you into the deep. As we reach the quiet, fading conclusion of our journey through the ancient ice, we slowly leave the glowing Sapphire caverns and the whispering subglacial rivers behind, ascending gently back through the heavy layers of deep time to rest once more upon the vast, silent expanse of the glacier's surface. Just as the long polar night begins to fall, here at the very top of the world, the sky deepens into an incredibly soft, velvety purple, and the first scattered stars begin to appear, reflecting perfectly on the endless, smooth plains of white snow that stretch out as far as the eye can see, completely undisturbed by wind or motion. This is the realm of the eternal winter, a place of ultimate profound stillness, where the fast-paced rushing of the human world has never existed, and where the only measure of time is the incredibly slow, majestic rotation of the Earth beneath the cold, distant constellations. As you listen to the final, fading words of this bedtime story, allow the vast, empty peace of this frozen landscape to completely fill your mind, washing away the very last remnants of thought, worry, or tension, and leaving behind only a pure, unburdened clarity. The air up here is crisp and completely still, a perfect, breathless quiet that settles over the glacier like a heavy, comforting blanket, signaling to the ancient ice and to your own resting body that the long day is finally, truly over, and there is nothing left to do but sleep. You can imagine the heavy, dense ice beneath you acting as a massive, grounding anchor, pulling your physical body deeper and deeper into the mattress, softening your muscles, relaxing your jaw, and unclenching your hands as you surrender entirely to the pull of gravity and the deep relaxation of the night. Every fact, every wonder, and every secret we have explored within the glacier, from the microscopic sleeping microbes to the towering, drifting icebergs, now gently dissolves into the quiet background of your consciousness, becoming nothing more than soft, abstract feelings of peace and ancient stability. The soothing, unhurried pace of the ice has successfully done its work, naturally slowing your heart rate and deepening your breathing until it perfectly matches the slow, steady rhythm of the sleeping Earth itself, a rhythm that requires no effort and simply flows naturally from one moment to the next. You are completely safe here in the quiet dark, wrapped in the warmth of your bed, perfectly insulated from the cold, and entirely protected from the demands of tomorrow. Suspended in a gentle, timeless space where the only goal is to rest as the purple sky fades into a deep, absolute black. The edge of the glacier seems to blur and merge with the darkness of space, reminding us that this massive, slow-moving river of ice is just one small, beautiful part of a planet, quietly spinning through the calm, endless void, perfectly balanced and perfectly at peace. Let this grand, cosmic perspective soothe any remaining anxieties, allowing you to let go of the small details of your life and simply drift, weightless and unburdened, on the slow, dark current of the night, carried away by the gentle, fading echo of this calming narration. The glacier will still be here tomorrow, slowly carving the rock and holding the ancient air, and the world will continue its quiet, steady turning without needing your attention, giving you complete permission to release your grip on consciousness and fall deeply, completely asleep. There are no more stories to hear, no more facts to learn, and no more distances to cross. There is only the slow, rhythmic rising and falling of your chest, the heavy, comforting warmth of the blankets, and the soft, enveloping silence of a mind that has finally found perfect rest as the last traces of wakefulness slip away, melting effortlessly into the deep, dark ocean of slumber like a quiet iceberg dissolving in the sea. Simply allow yourself to drift, untethered and free, into the deepest, most restorative sleep, knowing that the ancient, patient ice will always be there, resting silently in the dark, watching over the quiet dreams of the world. As as the quiet night deepens and you remain safely anchored in the heavy, comforting warmth of your bed. Your dreaming mind drifts effortlessly back from the starlit polar plateau and glides through the cool, silent air toward the lower mountain valleys, where the glacier's slow, patient work reveals yet another soothing mystery in the form of perfectly still, glowing turquoise lakes deep beneath the heavy, creeping ice. As the massive frozen river slowly slides over the earth, the immense weight and pressure gently grinds the solid bedrock into an incredibly fine, soft powder known to geologists as glacial flour. This unique rock flour is not coarse or abrasive like ordinary beach sand, but rather incredibly smooth and silty, feeling almost like velvet or soft talcum powder if you were to hold it in your hand. A physical manifestation of the ultimate, peaceful surrender of the hard, jagged mountains to the slow, persistent caress of the ancient ice. When the gentle, whispering meltwater streams carry this fine, suspended dust out from the dark, hidden world beneath the glacier and down into the wide, quiet valleys. The water eventually gathers in deep, tranquil rock basins left behind by the ice, forming majestic alpine lakes that seem to glow from within with an otherworldly, deeply serene light, because these microscopic particles of rock flour are so incredibly light and delicate. They do not immediately sink to the silent, dark bottom of the lake, but instead remain evenly suspended in the frigid water, floating weightlessly and gracefully, just as you are currently floating effortlessly in the calming, rhythmic currents of a deep sleep. When the soft, ambient light of the open sky touches the glassy surface of the lake, it interacts delicately with these suspended particles, absorbing the harsher, warmer colors of the visual spectrum and scattering only the cool, soothing blue and green wavelengths back into the air, creating a mesmerizing, milky turquoise or soft emerald color that looks like a beautiful, liquid painting. This unique, glowing tint is the visual equivalent of this calming narration, a soft, hypnotic wash of color that naturally soothes the nervous system, lowers your heart rate, and invites your subconscious to rest in a state of pure, undisturbed tranquility, far removed from the bright, demanding lights of the waking world. The surface of these glacial lakes is often entirely unbroken by the wind, perfectly mirroring the towering, snow-capped peaks and the vast, slow-moving clouds above in a flawless, symmetrical reflection that makes it almost impossible to tell where the solid earth ends and the vast, open sky begins. You can imagine your own mind adopting the profound stillness of this turquoise mirror, allowing any lingering, fragmented thoughts from your busy day to simply settle and dissolve into the depths, leaving behind a pristine, calm surface that perfectly reflects the quiet peace of this nighttime story. There is no rush to cross this lake, no current to fight against, and no destination to reach. There is only the gentle, buoyant suspension of the water, a heavy, comforting embrace that cradles you softly and securely as you continue to drift through this relaxing story, sinking deeper into the soft, supportive layers of your bed. The glacial flour suspended in the water is a profound reminder that even the heaviest, most solid obstacles and challenges in our lives can eventually be ground down into something incredibly fine, soft, and beautifully integrated into a calm, peaceful landscape, completely losing their sharp edges to the steady flow of time as you breathe in the crisp, imaginary mountain air and exhale a long, quiet sigh. Allow the heavy, grounding energy of the surrounding ancient mountains to anchor your physical body to the mattress, while the smooth, glowing water of the lake lulls your spirit into an even deeper, more restorative slumber. The quiet shores of these turquoise pools are often lined with smooth, rounded stones polished over centuries, and silent, ancient pine trees that stand like peaceful, watchful guardians, offering a deeply reassuring presence that wraps around you like a gentle bedtime embrace, ensuring that your rest remains completely undisturbed and perfectly secure throughout the night. The slow, geological time that created the rock flower and carved the deep, protective lake basins operates on a scale so incredibly vast and unhurried that it naturally diminishes any sense of daily urgency, whispering a soft, reassuring reminder that everything in nature takes its absolute time, and that you too are allowed to simply pause, breathe, and exist without any expectations or demands placed upon you. Let the ethereal, milky blue waters wash over your imagination, acting as a cool, soothing balm that gently erases any remaining tension in your forehead, softens the muscles around your eyes, and smooths away the cares of the day until your entire being is as calm and perfectly balanced as the hidden alpine lake resting under the gentle moonlight. As this sleep story continues to unfold in the deep, quiet spaces of your mind, surrender entirely to the slow, beautiful artistry of the glacier, knowing that the ancient ice has carefully and patiently prepared this tranquil sanctuary just for you over thousands of years. A safe, hidden world where you can rest deeply, dream peacefully, and float weightlessly through the endless, quiet beauty of the comforting night. As we drift further along the edges of the ancient ice, guided by the slow, rhythmic current of this relaxing story, we uncover yet another profound secret hidden beneath the heavy, creeping frost, the perfectly preserved remnants of ancient, sleeping forests. Long before the current age, during the gentle, warming periods between great ice ages, the valleys currently filled with ice were once lush, quiet woodlands where towering spruce and pine trees grew tall and strong, their deep roots anchored firmly in the soil, completely unaware of the long, frozen slumber that was slowly approaching. When the global climate slowly, almost imperceptibly, began to cool again over thousands of years, the glaciers did not rush violently down the mountainsides. Instead, they crept forward with a magnificent, unhurried grace, moving only fractions of an inch each day, advancing so slowly that the transition felt less like a conquest and more like the casting of a deep, tranquil spell over the land. As the thick, glowing blue ice gently flowed over the forest floor, it did not crush or shatter the ancient trees, but instead carefully enveloped them, snapping off the upper branches, but wrapping the solid trunks, the delicate mosses, the fallen needles, and the deep roots in a heavy, protective blanket of absolute cold. This slow, frozen embrace effectively stopped time in its tracks, turning the entire woodland into a magnificent subfossil time capsule, where the wood was sealed away from oxygen and decay, perfectly preserved in the dark, silent heart of the glacier. For tens of thousands of years, as you listen to this calming narration, you can imagine the forest simply deciding to go to sleep, bowing its head to the inevitable, peaceful weight of the winter, and allowing the frost to hold it safely until the world was ready to warm again, completely surrendering to the natural cycles of the earth. There is a deep, resonant comfort in knowing that these ancient trees have rested perfectly still in the dark for millennia, completely undisturbed by the passing centuries. Their organic memory, and even their ancient tree rings held in perfect suspension within the blue ice. You can invite this exact same feeling of profound, protected suspension into your own body right now, allowing the comforting weight of your blankets to act just like the slowly advancing glacier, gently wrapping around your tired limbs, encasing you in warmth and safety, and signaling to your mind that it is finally time to power down and fall asleep. Just as the ancient roots remain securely anchored beneath the immense weight of the ice, you remain safely anchored to the heavy comfort of your mattress, free to let your conscious thoughts drift away into the quiet, velvet darkness of a nighttime story designed specifically to soothe your soul and ease your mind. When modern glaciers slowly begin to retreat, they occasionally reveal these ancient, sleeping stumps, still rooted exactly where they grew thousands of years ago, their wood still carrying the faint, earthy, comforting scent of a world that existed long before the dawn of recorded history. To touch one of these emerging pieces of subfossil wood is to touch deep geological time, feeling the quiet, enduring patience of a living thing that simply waited out the longest, coldest night imaginable with absolute serenity and grace. In your own transition into deep sleep, you are entering your own quiet, restorative ice age, a necessary period of complete stillness where your energy is preserved, your body is naturally repaired, and your mind is sheltered from the busy, demanding waking world. The frozen forest teaches us that pausing is not the same as ending, and that a deep, motionless rest is one of the most natural, vital rhythms of the earth, a beautiful, repeating cycle of waking and sleeping that applies to towering mountains and silent trees just as much as it applies to you. Let the heavy, peaceful silence of the subfossil woodland fill your imagination, visualizing the smooth, glassy blue ice pressing gently against the textured, rough bark of the ancient pines. A perfect, frictionless union of organic life and frozen water that has existed in perfect harmony for an eternity. The glacier holds the forest with the utmost care, just as this sleep story holds your attention with soft, slow words, carrying you gently away from any lingering stress and guiding you down into a state of pure, uninterrupted tranquility. There is no urgency in these frozen woods, no rushing wind to stir the branches, no changing seasons to track, and absolutely nothing that requires your immediate attention. There is only the eternal, quiet present, a heavy, soothing stillness that easily washes over you and encourages every single muscle in your body to completely let go. as you surrender to the gentle bedtime rhythms of your own breathing, feeling the cool, crisp, imaginary air filling your lungs. Allow the powerful imagery of the perfectly preserved, sleeping forest to remind you that you are safe, that your rest is protected by the night, and that you can peacefully wait in the quiet dark, wrapped in a beautiful bedtime story, until the morning light softly returns to wake you as we gently drift up from the dark, quiet sanctuary of the subfossil forest, leaving the sleeping roots safely wrapped in their frozen time capsule. We emerge onto the vast, smooth surface of the glacier, just as the deep polar night reaches its absolute velvet peak above the endless, silent expanse of white snow. The incredibly clear, freezing air creates a perfect, unblemished window into the cosmos, a vast, dark canvas where the gentle mysteries of the upper atmosphere begin to unfold in a breathtaking, silent display. High above the sleeping ice, charged solar particles that have traveled across millions of miles of empty space finally meet the Earth's protective magnetic field, sliding gracefully down the invisible magnetic lines toward the poles and gently colliding with the gases in our atmosphere. These quiet, invisible collisions release tiny bursts of energy that, when combined by the billions, paint the dark, starry sky with the slow, sweeping, ethereal ribbons of the Aurora borealis, a majestic celestial dance that perfectly complements the profound stillness of the glacial landscape below. The northern lights do not flash or strobe like artificial city lights. Instead, they move with a heavy, fluid slowness, drifting across the heavens like glowing, translucent curtains of soft emerald green, pale violet, and occasional, delicate shades of rose, unfolding and folding back on themselves with an elegant, unhurried grace that naturally hypnotizes the mind and invites you to fall asleep. Watching this cosmic ballet in your imagination is the perfect anchor for a relaxing story, drawing your focus upward and away from the dense, heavy earth, allowing your consciousness to float lightly on the gentle waves of glowing color as they pulse silently across the sky. The light from the Aurora is incredibly soft and completely silent, casting a faint, magical, pale green glow over the endless miles of the glacier, transforming the rugged ice fields into a smooth, luminous dreamscape that looks more like a quiet ocean of light than a harsh, frozen desert. This beautiful, ambient glow is the visual equivalent of this calming narration, a gentle wash of light and sound that soothes the nervous system and whispers to your brain that the day is done, that it is perfectly safe to let go of your conscious control and surrender to the deep, heavy comfort of your bed as the auroral ribbons slowly twist and glide through the stratosphere. Their movement seems to perfectly match the long, slow, deep breaths you are taking, rising up into the dark sky as you inhale, and softly cascading downward toward the horizon as you exhale, creating a beautiful, harmonious rhythm between your resting body and the vast, turning earth below the lights. The glacier absorbs the display in absolute silence, a perfect, massive mirror of ancient ice that captures the faint, shifting colors on its smooth, polished surface, doubling the beauty of the night and surrounding you completely in a sphere of glowing, peaceful tranquility. You can imagine yourself resting comfortably on a soft, warm layer of snow, perfectly insulated from the cold, your muscles heavy and completely relaxed, gazing up at the slow-moving colors with a mind that is entirely clear, unburdened by thoughts, worries, or the fast-paced rushing of the waking world. The Aurora teaches us that even the most massive, energetic forces in the solar system can manifest as something incredibly gentle, beautiful, and completely silent when they interact with the Earth. A reassuring thought that reminds us how perfectly designed our planet is to protect us and provide us with these moments of pure, undisturbed awe. Let the slow, liquid motion of the northern lights wash away any remaining tension in your forehead, smooth out the muscles around your eyes, and ease the tightness in your shoulders, allowing the heavy, grounding presence of the glacier beneath you to anchor you safely, while your spirit floats lightly in the glowing sky. This nighttime story is your personal invitation to step entirely out of your daily routine and into a space of cosmic, unhurried beauty, where time does not matter, and the only thing required of you is to simply exist, breathe, and appreciate the quiet majesty of the sleeping world. The Aurora does not rush to complete its performance, and it has no final destination. It is simply a beautiful, transient expression of energy, finding its perfect balance in the dark. Much like your own transition from the active energy of the day into the balanced, restorative stillness of a deep sleep, as the glowing ribbons slowly begin to fade, dissolving back into the deep, absolute black of the starry sky. They leave behind a profound, heavy silence that is richer and more comforting than before. A perfect, quiet void that welcomes your mind to drift away into the soft, abstract landscapes of your dreams. Surrender entirely to the fading light, the endless ice, and the deep, protective dark of the polar night, knowing that you are securely held in the gentle embrace of this bedtime story, perfectly ready to cross the final threshold into slumber as the beautiful, sweeping ribbons of the northern lights gently fade into the deep, quiet velvet of the polar night. We follow the final, serene journey of the ancient ice away from the continent, leaving the glowing glaciers behind, and drifting out into the vast, open ocean, where the massive, silent icebergs are slowly carrying their ancient frozen water toward a profound, peaceful dissolution. These towering blue cathedrals of ice, which broke away from the glacial shelf with a heavy, graceful sigh, are now solitary travelers traversing the dark, open sea, moved only by the incredibly slow, steady push of deep ocean currents that wrap around the globe like a massive, gentle planetary heartbeat. Because the vast majority of their immense bulk is hidden deep beneath the surface, they are completely undisturbed by the wind or the small, choppy waves above, resting entirely in the calm, frigid, heavy waters of the deep. A perfect metaphor for the unshakable, profound peace that anchors your mind as you drift deeper into this relaxing story. As these ice giants slowly travel away from the freezing polar regions and enter slightly warmer latitudes, a beautiful, incredibly slow transformation begins to occur. An unhurried, gentle melting that takes months or even years to complete, teaching a quiet lesson in the art of naturally letting go. The relatively warmer, salty ocean water acts as a soft, continuous embrace, patiently smoothing away the sharp, jagged edges of the iceberg, dissolving the ancient ice crystal by crystal, and silently returning the pure, fresh water that was trapped for millennia back into the vast, circulating global ocean. You can imagine the tension in your own muscles mimicking this slow, gentle melting, starting from the very top of your head and flowing slowly downward, dissolving the stiffness in your neck, softening your shoulders, and allowing your arms and legs to become incredibly heavy, warm, and entirely relaxed as you sink further into your bed. As the underwater base of the iceberg slowly melts, it occasionally releases the tiny, perfectly preserved air bubbles that were trapped in the glacier thousands of years ago, allowing them to finally rush up to the surface and pop with a faint, microscopic whisper, exhaling the ancient atmosphere of a forgotten world back into the night sky. This quiet release is like a long, slow exhalation, the perfect accompaniment to the calming narration of this sleep story, gently encouraging your own breath to match the rhythm of the ocean. A slow, deep breath in, gathering any remaining thoughts, and a long, smooth breath out, releasing them into the quiet air to simply float away. As the iceberg shrinks, it continually rebalances itself in the water, sometimes performing a slow, majestic, completely silent roll that reveals the deeply compressed, flawless sapphire blue ice that was once hidden at its core, glowing faintly in the starlight before dipping back beneath the dark waves. This graceful rotation is a reminder that you too can gently shift and settle in your bed, finding that absolute, perfect position where every part of your body feels completely supported by the mattress, allowing you to let go of any need to hold yourself up. The fresh meltwater flowing off the iceberg is lighter than the dense, salty seawater, creating incredibly subtle, microscopic currents that slowly mix the ancient water with the new and invisible, peaceful integration that happens deep beneath the surface without causing even the slightest ripple on the calm ocean above. Eventually, the icebergs are carried over the edges of the continental shelves and out over the abyssal plains and deep oceanic trenches, the deepest, darkest, and quietest places on Earth, where the water is heavy, still, and completely isolated from the fast-paced rushing of the world above. Here, the final, small fragments of the once massive glacier gently dissolve into nothingness, their ancient journey completely finished, their solid form entirely surrendered to the vast, fluid peace of the ocean, returning to a state of absolute, formless rest. This beautiful, slow dissolution is the exact journey your conscious mind is taking right now, slowly melting away from the solid, structured thoughts of your day and dissolving into the vast, peaceful, formless ocean of a deep sleep. There is no trace left of the iceberg, no solid shape to hold on to, only the gentle, rhythmic rocking of the sea and the deep, dark comfort of the water. A perfect, empty space that invites you to completely let your guard down and drift away. As you listen to the final echoes of this bedtime story, allow yourself to become entirely weightless, perfectly supported by the heavy, silent ocean of the night, knowing that you have successfully completed your journey, and that there is nothing left for you to do but rest in the quiet, comforting dark as the last remnants of the ancient iceberg finally melt completely into the heavy, peaceful embrace of the deep ocean, surrendering its solid form to the dark, silent water. Our relaxing story completes its long, slow circle and gently carries our awareness back to the very beginning, returning to the highest, quietest mountain peaks where the air is incredibly thin, pure, and absolutely still, up here far above the clouds, and completely removed from the heavy, rushing pace of the world below. The atmosphere holds the invisible moisture that was slowly drawn up from the global ocean by the warmth of the sun, gathering it softly into high, sweeping, pale gray clouds that completely blanket the sky. This is the quietest place on Earth, a sanctuary of pure altitude and cold, where sound simply ceases to exist, creating a perfect, heavy vacuum of silence that perfectly matches the deep, unburdened peace you are sinking into as you prepare to cross the final threshold into sleep. Out of this profound, velvet silence, the very first snowflakes of the season begin to form, delicate, microscopic crystals of ice that crystallize in the freezing air, growing slowly and symmetrically in the dark before they finally become heavy enough to begin their long, incredibly slow drift down toward the waiting mountain. This gentle, silent falling of snow is the ultimate calming narration, a visual and sensory lullaby where millions of unique, intricate shapes drift downward with a mesmerizing, completely unhurried grace, tracing soft, wandering paths through the air before they gently come to rest upon the ancient rock. As you listen to this bedtime story, you can imagine each individual snowflake acting like one of your own slow, steady exhalations, a gentle release of breath that floats away into the night, leaving you feeling lighter, emptier, and more deeply relaxed with every single passing moment. The snow falls without a sound, landing so softly that it does not even disturb the crisp, freezing air, slowly building up layer by delicate layer to create a flawless, unbroken blanket of pure white that covers the jagged peaks and smooths out the rugged valleys, softening the entire landscape into a beautiful, quiet dream. This continuous, silent accumulation is the very beginning of a brand new glacier, the first quiet moments of a journey that will take tens of thousands of years to complete. A comforting reminder that the massive, ancient ice we explored tonight all started with something as incredibly light and delicate as a single falling flake. There is a profound, deep reassurance in this endless, repeating cycle of the earth, a beautifully balanced system where water rises up from the ocean, falls gently onto the mountains, slowly turns to heavy ice, and eventually, after millennia of patient travel, returns to the sea. You can draw immense comfort from this slow, geological rhythm, knowing that you too are part of a natural, repeating cycle, moving gracefully from the active energy of your day into the deep, restorative stillness of the night, a cycle that requires no effort and simply carries you along on its gentle, steady current. The snow continues to fall in the dark, a hypnotic, endless curtain of white against the deep, purple-black sky, blanketing your mind and burying any lingering thoughts, worries, or plans beneath a thick, heavy layer of perfect, quiet peace. You are perfectly safe beneath this imaginary snowfall, tucked securely into the warmth of your bed, completely insulated from the cold and entirely protected from the outside world, allowing the heavy, comforting weight of the blankets to mimic the gentle pressure of the accumulating snow. The air up here is crisp and incredibly fresh, completely clearing your mind as you take slow, deep breaths, drawing in the absolute stillness of the mountain peak and exhaling all remaining tension until your entire body feels completely soft, entirely heavy, and perfectly aligned with the deep, slow resting state of the earth. The glacier is beginning its long sleep once again, patiently storing the ancient water, preparing to hold the memories of the world in its deep blue heart for another 100,000 years, and giving you absolute permission to join it in its profound, undisturbed slumber as the falling snow slowly blurs the edges of the world, making the mountains and the sky merge into one soft, dark, quiet space. Simply allow your own consciousness to blur and fade, letting go of the words of this sleep story, letting go of the images of the ice, and surrendering entirely to the deep, formless comfort of the night. There is nothing left to do, nowhere else to be, and absolutely no need to hold on. Just let the slow, silent snow carry you softly downward, drifting deeper and deeper into the most peaceful, restorative, and beautiful sleep you have ever known. As we continue to drift through this relaxing story, carried on the soft, unbroken winds of the deep polar night, our journey takes us away from the high mountain peaks and out toward the edge of the vast southern continent, where the ancient ice does not shatter or calve, but instead spreads outward in a magnificent, perfectly flat expanse known as a giant ice shelf. These colossal canopies of ice, some as incredibly large as entire countries, flow smoothly off the solid land and simply float upon the surface of the freezing ocean, acting as a massive, heavy, protective lid that seals the water below in a state of absolute, undisturbed tranquility. This is the great white canopy of the earth, a place of such immense, sweeping flatness that the horizon seems to stretch on into infinity, a beautifully empty landscape that requires absolutely nothing from you, offering a perfect, blank canvas for your mind to rest upon as you listen to this calming narration. Because the ice shelf is hundreds of feet thick, it functions as an unparalleled acoustic and thermal blanket, absorbing the restless energy of the open ocean and completely dampening the rolling waves, reducing the powerful, turbulent swells of the sea into the softest, most imperceptible ripples. If you were to rest beneath this immense floating roof, down in the dark, cool waters below, you would find one of the quietest environments on the entire planet. A hushed sea where the chaotic storms of the surface are completely silenced, replaced only by the gentle, slow motion breathing of the deep tides. You can imagine this massive, floating shelf acting just like a heavy, comforting weighted blanket draped softly over your own body, gently pressing down on your shoulders, your chest, and your legs, completely neutralizing any restless energy and anchoring you safely in the warmth of your bed, allowing you to easily fall asleep. This bedtime story is designed to be your own protective canopy, shielding your conscious mind from the turbulent waves of daily life and creating a serene, insulated space where you can experience a truly deep sleep without any interruptions from the waking world. The underside of the ice shelf is a masterpiece of smooth, undulating curves and upside-down valleys carved by the gentle caress of the ocean currents. A hidden, inverted landscape of pure sapphire ice that reflects the faint, bioluminescent glow of the rare, slow-moving creatures that glide silently through the freezing depths. Down here, in this incredibly secluded sub-ice ocean, life moves at a pace that is almost incomprehensibly slow. Delicate, translucent glass sponges and long-legged sea spiders traverse the dark sea floor with a careful, deliberate patience. Their metabolisms adapted to the extreme cold and the complete absence of sunlight, living their quiet lives in a state of near-suspended animation. Watching these gentle, unhurried inhabitants in your mind's eye is a beautiful, hypnotic anchor for this sleep story. A silent, slow-motion ballet that perfectly mirrors your own transition from the active energy of the day to the still, restful state of the night. Every movement beneath the ice shelf is deliberate and soft, teaching a quiet lesson that there is no need to rush, and that existing in a state of absolute, unhurried calm is one of the most natural, vital rhythms of life on Earth. The ice and the ocean exist in a perfect, harmonious balance, an eternal embrace where the freezing water slowly adds fresh layers to the bottom of the shelf, while the gentle currents slowly polish it away. A quiet equilibrium that mirrors the steady, effortless rhythm of your own breathing as you settle deeper into the night. As you take a long, slow breath in, imagine the vast ice shelf gently rising a few inches with the incoming tide. And as you release a long, quiet breath out, feel the massive sheet of ice softly settling back down. A slow, planetary respiration that naturally lulls you into a state of profound relaxation. There is no rushing wind here, no cracking ice, and no bright sun to wake you. There is only the soft, ambient twilight of the polar winter, painting the flat expanse of the shelf in soothing shades of lavender and deep, dusky blue, colors that naturally signal to your brain that it is time for a gentle bedtime. The stillness of the ice shelf is so complete that it invites you to completely let go of your thoughts, allowing your awareness to spread out evenly across the smooth, unbroken snow, thinning out until your worries simply evaporate into the cold, crisp air. Even the wind that occasionally brushes across the surface of the shelf is gentle and hushed, smoothing the fresh snow into beautiful, wave-like ridges known as sastrugi, which look like a frozen, white ocean sitting directly above the dark, liquid one below, creating a mesmerizing pattern of light and shadow under the faint glow of the stars. The repetitive, sweeping lines of the sastrugi are a visual lullaby, a soft, natural geometry that draws your eyes along their curving paths until your eyelids become incredibly heavy and your mind gracefully yields to the comforting pull of the night. This nighttime story provides the perfect environment for that ultimate release. A safe, sprawling sanctuary of ancient ice where you are entirely hidden from the demands of the world, supported by the immense, buoyant strength of the frozen sea, sinking further and further into the restorative depths of a dreamless, beautiful slumber as our relaxing story gently guides us away from the vast, floating expanse of the great white canopy and back toward the warmer, lower latitudes of the Earth. We slowly transition out of the deep polar freeze and arrive in a lush, quiet, sun-dappled valley that has fully awakened from its long ice age slumber. Here, thousands of years after the massive glaciers have peacefully retreated and melted away, the landscape is soft, green, and wonderfully alive, carpeted in thick, sweet-smelling grasses and delicate wildflowers that sway with a gentle, hypnotic rhythm in the soft, warm breeze of a perfect summer afternoon. Yet, even in this vibrant, living meadow, the ancient ice has left behind a profound, silent signature of its incredibly slow passage, resting peacefully among the flowers like a beautiful geological monument, a massive, solitary boulder of polished granite, sitting entirely out of place in the soft green field. These solitary giants, known as glacial erratics, are pieces of distant mountains that were plucked up by the creeping ice tens of thousands of years ago, carried for hundreds of miles within the dark, frozen belly of the glacier, and finally, gently deposited exactly where they rest today when the ice eventually softened and melted away. This massive stone is a profound symbol of patience and deep time, a silent traveler that survived the crushing pressure of the ice and the unimaginable journey across the continent, only to find its permanent, peaceful resting place in this quiet, sunlit sanctuary, a perfect anchor for this bedtime story as you prepare to fall asleep. Because the boulder is made of a completely different type of rock than the valley floor beneath it. It is a beautiful anomaly, a stranger in a strange land that has nevertheless been completely embraced by the meadow, half buried in soft earth and covered in intricate, slow-growing patches of pale green and silver lichen. These delicate lichens are some of the most patient living things on Earth, growing only fractions of a millimeter each year, completely unbothered by the passing seasons, painting the surface of the erratic boulder with a soft, natural tapestry that perfectly illustrates the slow, unhurried pace of deep geological time. As you listen to this calming narration, you can imagine your own mind becoming as still, heavy, and completely grounded as the sleeping stone, allowing the soft, comforting warmth of your bed to act just like the welcoming meadow, wrapping around your tired body and holding you securely in a gentle, supportive embrace. The boulder does not need to move. It does not need to achieve anything, and it does not need to worry about the future. Its only purpose is simply to exist exactly where it is, absorbing the gentle warmth of the afternoon sun and providing a cool, quiet shadow for the small, delicate creatures of the field to rest within. You can invite this exact same permission into your own life right now, completely letting go of any expectations or pressures, sinking deeply into the mattress, and realizing that for tonight, your only purpose is simply to rest in the comforting dark of this nighttime story. The massive weight of the erratic anchors the entire landscape, providing a deep, resonant sense of permanence and stability that naturally soothes the nervous system, encouraging your heart rate to slow down, your breathing to deepen, and your muscles to release any lingering tension they might be holding onto. Just as the glacier carried the boulder to its perfect resting place, the slow, rhythmic words of this sleep story are gently carrying your consciousness away from the busy, active thoughts of the day, guiding you safely toward the soft, green, peaceful valley of your dreams. If you were to walk up to the stone and press your hand against its smooth, sun-warmed surface, you would feel a deeply comforting, solid presence, a physical connection to the ancient, powerful forces of the earth that have now settled into absolute, perfect peace. Imagine that warm, heavy solidity pressing gently against your own shoulders and chest, acting as a natural, grounding force that completely neutralizes any restless energy and helps you sink even deeper into the heavy comfort of your bed, perfectly ready for a truly deep sleep. As the sun slowly begins to set behind the distant, rolling hills, the long, purple shadows of evening gently stretch across the meadow, cooling the air and signaling to the flowers that it is time to close their petals for the night. A soft, natural transition that perfectly mirrors your own descent into slumber. The erratic boulder absorbs the last fading light of the day, turning a deep, dusky shade of indigo. And as the first bright stars appear in the darkening sky, the stone becomes a silent, watchful guardian, ensuring that your rest remains completely undisturbed and perfectly secure throughout the quiet night. Surrender entirely to the heavy, peaceful stillness of the sleeping stone, the soft, whispering grasses of the meadow, and the gentle, protective darkness of the night, knowing that you are exactly where you are meant to be, fully supported, entirely safe, and beautifully prepared to let go of the waking world. As our long, gentle journey through the ancient glaciers reaches its quiet conclusion, we now turn our attention to one of the smallest, most delicate wonders preserved within the ice, the microscopic diatoms that drifted through ancient waters long before the snow ever began to fall upon the mountains. These tiny, glass-like organisms are so small that they cannot be seen with the naked eye. Yet, they have left their shimmering, silicate shells suspended in the frozen record of the earth, resting in perfect stillness for thousands of years inside the glacial archive. Long ago, when sunlight touched open seas, deep lakes, and quiet meltwater pools, these diatoms floated gently through the water, turning the energy of light into life, building delicate, intricate shells from the silica dissolved around them, and drifting in slow, invisible currents with a patience that matches the mood of this final sleep story. When winter deepened and the snow fell, these microscopic remains were carried into the glacier, sealed away like tiny lanterns inside the blue heart of the ice, their fragile shapes preserved in a silence so complete that it feels almost sacred. In the soft imagination of this relaxing story, you can picture them as countless little stars scattered through a frozen sky, each one a reminder that even the smallest forms of life can leave behind something beautiful, durable, and quietly enduring. Their shells are not loud or dramatic, but subtly patterned, full of fine geometry and graceful symmetry, as if nature itself had taken a moment to breathe slowly and draw a perfect line of quiet beauty. This is the kind of detail that belongs in a bedtime story, because it asks nothing of you except to notice how gentle the world can be when you pause long enough to see it. The diatoms are part of the glacier's deepest memory, helping scientists understand what ancient waters were like, what nutrients once flowed through them, and how the climate shifted across the long, patient turning of the ages. Yet for now, you do not need to analyze or measure anything, because this is your time to drift. And the final chapter of this journey is here simply to carry you softly towards sleep. Imagine the glacier as a vast, quiet library where every layer holds a different kind of memory, from falling snow to trapped air, from ancient forests to drifting boulders, and now to the tiniest glass shells of the diatoms, all resting together in one immense, cold, peaceful archive. There is something deeply soothing in the idea that the earth remembers so much, and remembers it so slowly, without hurry, without noise, without strain. The ice does not try to forget, and it does not try to rush forward. It simply holds, protects, and waits, letting time pass over it like soft wind over a field at dusk. As you settle deeper into your bed, you can allow your own thoughts to become as tiny and light as these hidden diatoms, each one glowing faintly, each one drifting farther away, each one dissolving into the dark like a snowflake landing softly on fresh powder. The body grows warmer now, the room quieter, the mind less interested in the shape of the day, and more willing to sink into the pleasant, velvety stillness that comes just before sleep. In this final fading outro, the glacier itself seems to be breathing out, releasing the last of its cold, clear memory into the night, while the sky above turns deep and endless, and the snowfall begins again in the distance, gentle and slow. As if the world is tucking itself in, the diatoms remain, the ice remains, the mountains remain, but your awareness can loosen and drift, carried by the soft pressure of the blankets and the unhurried rhythm of your own breathing. There is no need to hold on to anything now, because the whole story has been leading toward this one quiet surrender, where the ancient ice and the tiny lanterns within it fade together into a peaceful hush. Let your eyelids grow heavier with every word. Let your body become deeply still, and let the final snow of the glacier fall over your thoughts until they are completely covered in calm. This is the end of the journey, the slow return to silence, the final gentle resting place where the glacier, the ocean, the sky, and your own dreaming mind all become part of one long, serene winter night.